Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask Venus. How are you today? um, yeah, I'm seeing this conversation from a lot of different angles, and I wanted to just thank those of you who've sent in your questions and have responded to the question. You know, and yeah, I guess I'd like to start with one of the things I've noticed in relationships is yes, we're either trying to prove that we are right or prove that we are wrong. um, and you can fall anywhere in between that. But here's what I know, or here's what I've learned over the years. Has just been, if you're in judgment of anybody for anything, it will kill what's possible with that person. And that includes you. So if you're judging your partner about anything that they're choosing or not choosing, because we all have points of view about what we think they should be choosing, or we can see something from the outside that maybe they can't see, like, oh, I think that if they did it this way, it'd be a lot easier on them. Speaking from lots of experience, that doesn't work out so well. For a couple of different reasons. One, who likes to be judged? And this is positive and negative judgment. You can be acknowledged for something that you are, but not judged for who you are, right? Or how you're showing up in the world. And what if, think about okay, so if somebody you thought was a friend of yours and they were judging you, how long did they stay your friend, right? Probably not really long, because something I love to say is judgment kills and gratitude grows. If you're judging your partner for anything, it will slowly or quickly deteriorate. That's what's possible. And that's your friendships too. If you're not in total allowance of them, meaning they get to choose what they want to choose whenever they want to choose it, then there's this undercurrent of them always being wrong. Well, I don't know if you know this or have thought about this, but have you ever noticed that you already believe you're innately wrong most of the time anyway? So do you really need or want people in your life that make you feel even more wrong because you already feel wrong? And it's not very motivating for us, right? There's this energy of, well, somebody's making me wrong, so we try to push against it. And then there's this proving match. So I learned this great tool from Steve and Shutisa Bowman, and what they do in their relationship is one of the things they do before they say anything to their partner or anything. I don't know if they do this with their friends. I'm guessing they do, or they, try to. But before you say anything to anyone, ask yourself, am I trying to prove something here? Am I trying to be right? Or will this actually be a contribution? And more often than not, and I'm as guilty of this as the next person, we're trying to prove that we're right. But I'm going to let you in on a little trick. So the little trick today is, if you believe in you and your value, you won't care what anybody else thinks of you. It's only because you don't believe in your own value that judgments others sling at you stick you. And again, it can be positive or negative judgments. But we go into this somehow we don't believe, or I'll even speak for me, I don't always believe that in my own value. And if I don't believe in my own value, how can I expect somebody else to see my value? And if I need to prove that I'm right, who am I trying to prove it to? The truth is, at the end of the day, you probably don't give a crap whether people like you or don't like you, really underneath it. Because it's not about whether they like you or don't like you. It's about whether, do you like you? Do you appreciate you? And it's the same for other people. Like the people in your life, we're all kind of seeking this need to be validated, this energy of, am I good enough? Do I belong? Am I important? And again, if you have that for yourself, it won't matter if anybody else is giving it to you. But if you think about it, everybody on the planet pretty much is asking for this, is asking for, thank you, is asking for to be loved. Everybody on the planet's asking for to feel loved. The only problem is that we're often looking outside of ourselves for that love and that acknowledgement and that value, and that has to come from within. And that's, Joseph and I talked about it on, There Can Be Only One, the first episode. But I know that you're the one. I'm the one for me. There's nobody out there that's going to help me feel validated and important and loved if I don't love myself. Well, if you know that about you, and you know that maybe 98% of the population is that way, then every person that you meet or every person you're in a relationship with is seeking love. They're seeking that acknowledgement. They're seeking that acceptance. They're seeking that they can't really receive from you if they haven't gotten it for themselves. So you can keep trying to tell somebody how much you value them. And no, don't get me wrong, I still think that that's a great contribution. However, how many times have you noticed that they can't hear you, right? Because they can't hear you because they have a filter over their face saying, I'm not good enough, or I'm wrong, or I'm right, whatever that filter is. And so you're trying to contribute to them, and there's this energy right here that they can never receive what you have to give. So that's when I'm like really asking. I ask before my partner, I ask with my friends and stuff like that. It's like, is what I'm like, maybe I'm texting somebody or trying to send them a message, and I'm like, okay, am I trying to be right here? Or am I trying to prove I'm wrong and fucked up? Right? And if you let go of that need to be right or the need to be wrong, all that's left is allowance, is this kindness, gratitude, right? This energy of contribution. Like if you're not worried about what other people think of you, or you're not trying to prove that you're right or wrong, then what contribution can you truly be? What can you gift them, right? And as I've always said, judgment kills. It will kill all possibilities. It will kill every relationship. It just kills, right? And gratitude grows. So the more that you can be grateful for the people in your life, however they're showing up, right? A great, for instance, is, having that ex-boyfriend that was abusive and an alcoholic and all that stuff, right? And that's his choice. He's not wrong for those choices, but the allowance for him was also the honoring of me. The allowance of him was you need to choose a life that works for you. And I'm super thrilled. I found out fairly recently he just got married. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I really, really, truly wish and hope that he found somebody that could have total allowance for him, right? But I knew I couldn't have that for him. So if I couldn't have that and live with that, then that wasn't a kindness. So the greatest kindness and allowance of him choosing the life that works for him was for me to actually choose something different and to honor me. But in honoring me, I honored him, right? So, and I knew when I was in it, I just couldn't, what's the word? I just couldn't be a door. Oh, I couldn't be a doormat. But that's having my own back, right? And I couldn't let go of the need to be right. Right? I knew that what he was choosing was killing his body. And I'm going to tell you another little thing here, another little trick. So you may often have an awareness of something for somebody that you know without a shadow of a doubt that what they're choosing is killing their body, it's harming themselves, it's, whatever. And this is that piece of that proving or contribution. Ask yourself before you say anything to anyone, will this contribute to greater, or is this a contribution, or am I trying to prove something here? Because if you're trying to prove something there, they won't be able to receive it anyway, because again, they have their filters anyway. If it shows up that it's a contribution, then they'll be able to hear it. But think about all the energy we expend trying to prove and be right, or even prove that we're not wrong. That doesn't allow for the space of possibility and contribution to show up. It actually kills what's possible, right? Like it kills it. It takes it down, right? And we're taught that judgment is how you do. We're taught just even by being parents or having parents, that if you judge them, they'll change. That actually doesn't change. Most people won't change with judgment. Most people will go the opposite direction. They will, when I was trying to be right in that relationship, he'd drink more. So, and then I finally was like, okay, fine. I'm this isn't even about him. I gave up drinking at that time because I was like, maybe this is just about me giving up drinking, and not being concerned about what he's choosing or not choosing. But then look at, if you're not trying to be right or avoid being wrong, you're not trying to prove something, what are you really present to with the people in your life? What contribution can you be? And that's where that gratitude piece comes in. I am so grateful for that partner I had for that year and a half. Truly. Because I found me in a way I had never found me. I had my back in a way I'd never had my back before. Was it extremely uncomfortable and not that fun? Absolutely. Would I want to do it again? Not really. But I don't regret doing it. I don't regret having that because it gave me so much more awareness. Right? But just think about the world, right? And all the wars and all the religion and all the fighting, right? Think about where that comes from. So much of it, most of it even, I'd go on a limb to say, is trying to prove something, trying to prove that they're right, trying to prove that they're wrong, that the other person's wrong. And then they go to war over it. So what do you think would happen if before we said anything, we said, will this be a contribution, or am I trying to prove something here? Will this create greater? I wonder what would happen if we all did that as much as we possibly could. think we might have a more peaceful world. We might have a less conflict. Cool. So thank you for letting me share that. And I welcome any of your questions. If any of you have questions, I'm here. I'll pause for a moment. Also make sure that everybody's here. So what questions do you have about being right or avoiding being wrong? Right or avoiding being wrong. There we go. I noticed while I'm waiting for your questions, if you have any, you guys could pop them in. That'd be great. But I noticed I was at a conference this weekend, and I noticed even for me personally, like how much Joseph says, when I'm trying to be right, it makes things harder. Absolutely. Yes. Makes things a lot harder. Because you have to prove it, right? Rather than just be grateful. Like, I'm so grateful for that ex, right? But I can really, truly say that. And there's no judgment. I'm like super happy he got married. I have no idea who she is, but I hope that they're happy. I really do wish that for people. But if you're trying to be right, then nobody's happy. Because then there's this tug of war. I mean, even this weekend, my partner and I were at a conference, and Joseph, and I'll answer that in a second. Thank you for the question. But one of the things that we both saw this new promotion thing differently, right? And I actually think it's valuable too for you to have a voice, but you can have a voice and say what's true for you without having to try to prove something or prove that you're right or prove that you're not wrong. But a lot of times too, I will find that as long as I'm asking that question, then I stop myself when I'm trying to be right. I stop. I'm like, oh no, I'm trying to prove something here. I don't need to say something here. And then what was really cool this weekend was when I let go of this need to say something and try to be right in that instance, suddenly I noticed that more awareness came around. And then the next thing I said was a contribution. Because I let go of the proving thing first. I was like, nope, I don't need to prove it. I don't need to be right here. I can just let it go, right? And think about all the people that really, they have to talk all the time, they have to fill the space. Are they filling the space because they're uncomfortable and they're trying to prove that they're right? Now, little caveat here, they're not wrong for choosing that. If people are trying to be right, they're not wrong. It's just like that defense mechanism or that energy of they're trying to prove it to themselves. So they think if they prove that they're right to you or prove that they're not wrong, or vice versa, prove that they're wrong, then they will feel whole and complete. They will be okay. But that never works because, again, they have that filter. They're looking at the world through this filter of wrongness or rightness. So if somebody comes along, everything they hear out of that person's voice usually is a confirmation of the right and wrong that they already believe of themselves. And so if there's somebody that's like, I've got to talk all the time, fill the space and tell you what I'm saying and be the person that, has all the answers, they're not wrong for it, but are they saying something because they don't believe in their own value, right? And I will say for me, when I'm really present to that, I just have a lot of compassion for people. A lot of wow, what would the world be like if we all loved ourselves more? I mean, we would that need to prove things would disappear. It would be irrelevant, right? Cool. And Joseph asks, what can I do to look at things differently so I don't have to be right? Great question. Well, I think it's just that. It's like pausing and saying, okay, do I have to be right here? Am I trying to prove something? Or is this a contribution? And then if you get that you're trying to be right and prove something, then the next step I would encourage you to take is, what's right about me I'm not getting? Because remember, if you're trying to prove something to somebody, you're trying to prove it to them, you're actually trying to prove it to yourself. So what's right about you you're not getting? And that could be with anything, the rights, the wrongs, right? Everywhere you're trying to prove something. What's right about me I'm not getting? What's the value of me? Maybe what am I grateful for here? And then if you're in a relationship and you're like, I'm really trying to prove something, I'm trying to be right, then you could just be like, what am I grateful for them for? Right? What can I acknowledge them and be appreciative of them? And watch their whole world melt. Melt. Think about how much your world melts when people tell you how much they're grateful for. Now, I know some of you are like, I'm one of those. Somebody will say they're grateful for me, but if I have that really strong filter of I'm wrong, then I can't. I'm grateful for it, and I hear it more than I would the judgments, the proving, right? And you can only hear so much. So then if that's the case, if you're like, okay, this person's expressing gratitude to me and I can't hear them, then lower your walls and barriers and say, what's right about me I'm not getting? What can I acknowledge about me today? And I'm just going to tell you guys from my own personal experience, self-love is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Judging yourself is one of the greatest unkindnesses. So finding the things that are right about you, not from the proving energy, but from the acknowledgement energy and the gratitude. I love it, Chelsea. Cool. I could definitely talk about that. Hang on a second. I'll be right there. So lower your walls and barriers and be like, okay, what's right about me? What am I grateful for about me? What can I acknowledge about me? Right? So, and thank you, Chelsea, for the question. It's great. So, so Chelsea asks, can you talk about right and wrong in sex, or is that for another call? So right and wrong in sex. Well, it's kind of the same thing that I've been talking about, but go ahead and take it to that. So if you are in a situation and you're trying to do it right or trying to avoid being wrong, whatever the situation is, but if it's in sex, right? What's right about you you're not getting? What contribution can you be to you and your body, right? So one of the things that happens, and I did a lot of this, a lot of sex with people who there was no kindness, right? It was sex done from judgment. Well, and we're taught, I mean, I'm not going to get a political conversation, but we're taught in porn and all that it's all done from judgment. But have you slept with somebody or had sex with somebody when it was a contribution and a kindness and they were so grateful for you, right? Nice. And so, yeah, like if you are choosing people, I'll talk about me because that's all I really have. But I have lots of experience. um, oh, I never thought I'd say that on live television or but what was I doing when I was sleeping around? Yep. Um, I was looking for validation. I was looking for acknowledgement. I was looking to feel beautiful. I was looking to feel desired. I was looking for um, to feel right and avoid feeling wrong, which also never worked because I had a lot of guilt over sex. So early on in my years, and so yeah, so that's probably a sideline. It's a little bit of a squirrel. Um, but if you are seeing your body as beautiful, you're grateful for your body. I'm getting chills all over my little body. My little body's very grateful right now. You are acknowledging your own beauty. You're appreciating your body, right? Do you think that your choices in sexual partners might be a little different, right? But if you believe all the wrongness of you, you will find all the people that agree with your wrongness because you're out there trying to prove that you're wrong or right, and you will find what you're looking for. You will find the people that can confirm what you believe in a heartbeat. So then acknowledge yourself, see your own beauty, right? I remember this is really funny. So like I said, I've had lots of partners. We won't get into actual numbers, but it's high. And maybe I'll do actual numbers. I don't actually think I know the exact number, but I know close. Yeah. Um, still think that's so funny. But I'm not wrong, right? Obviously. I mean, hey, I'm able to use it to my advantage now. So but one of the things I noticed was that I was choosing kind of the same judgmental energy and relationships. And it was all done from trying to feel loved and acknowledged and beautiful. But I didn't believe it about myself. So then I went looking to other people for it. And then I didn't believe it about myself. So then I couldn't ever really receive it, even when somebody was really grateful or appreciative. But then what I chose to do from there was I went, okay, body, apparently I don't have a clue who I should be sleeping with or choosing in relationship. So I said, body, you get to choose my next partner. And I gave the reins to my body. And I know in giving the reins to my body, I know that also acknowledged my body for the gift that it was. Because my body then got to have a voice. It got to have a choice. It wasn't me out there looking for validation. It was like my body going, oh, okay, I am a being. I do have a contribution here. I do get to choose. And surprisingly enough, I wasn't expecting it, but my body did choose my current partner. And it's an ongoing choice. I don't get that it's like this is the one and that's who you're with forever. I still don't believe that. But but what I do know is that I've never been with anybody more gentle, more kind, more present, more grateful than this partner right now, so far. And how does it get better? So but that alone, yes, you are, Joseph. Joseph says, I'm pretty freaking awesome. Yes. But that alone changed, like I wasn't looking to Joseph for validation. I was choosing what's going to create greater for me and my body. My body gets to choose. So again, you could be like, you're about to have sex with somebody. You're like, am I trying to be right here? Am I trying to prove something? Am I trying to prove I'm not wrong? Right? Am I trying to like feel loved and appreciated and then pause and be like, okay, if I gave all that to myself and my body right now, what would I choose? Would I choose to sleep with this person? There's in the foundation of Access Consciousness, there's 4 questions. 4 questions? Yeah, I think so. It's 4 questions before you copulate with anyone. And copulate is putting the body parts together. And there's a whole conversation about what sex and sexualness and all that stuff. We can go over that another day. But will it be easy? Will it be fun? Will they be grateful afterwards? Will it be a contribution? Those are great questions to ask before you sleep with anyone. Because include, like, do you want this to be something that creates greater, or are you just wanting to put the body parts together? And putting the body parts together is not wrong. I'm definitely not saying that. And yeah, we can talk about guilt and religion and all of that stuff another time. I'm sure that's a whole nother conversation. So Chelsea says, right. So if you give yourself that acknowledgement, you don't have to prove it or seek it. Yes. You're never looking to somebody else to give it to you because you already have it for you and your body. And it'll be interesting if you play with this a little bit, who shows up in your life, because you can start to ask for that now. I'd like to have somebody who's a contribution to my life. I'd like to have somebody who creates greater in my life. That's awesome, Chelsea. She's like, hey, I got it. How does it get better? And yeah, what would be a kindness for you? And start asking for that and then see what shows up. I look forward to hearing some feedback if something shows up for you that you weren't expecting because you started to ask for it. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for those of you who asked questions, and for those of you watching now and later, really, really grateful for you. And I guess I just want to leave today with, if you don't have your back, nobody else will. So first and foremost, choose to have your back, or don't, but my suggestion, choose to take it or not, is, appreciate you, be grateful for you, love yourself, and see what shows up from there. You may find that you're seeking a lot less approval from other people because you already have you. Thank you for you. I appreciate you so much. And I will see you again next week. Bye.